Hello everyone, it is my absolute pleasure to invite you to the first ever episode of the Cross Country Conference podcast. I'm your host, Mateo Colson. I'm a freshman in college, and I decided to make this podcast because I love running and I love talking about the sport. Now, for our first ever episode, we have none other than senior Landon Pretre to be our first guest. He has run 8:48 in the 32, 4:13 flat in the mile, and probably most impressively at all, has gone sub 15 in the Woodward Park 5K course. He ran 14:52 at the Clovis Invitational last year. And right now, he's on the eve of probably having his best running season so far, and we're going to be interviewing him about where he's at in his training and what he's hoping for regarding running in the present and in the future. So anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and let's get on with the podcast. Landon Pretre, welcome to the first episode of this podcast I'm trying to start, the Cross Country Conference. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
How are you? How's training going right now? Have you run today already? Where are you at right now at this point in the season?
Yeah, still trying to keep my volume up because we've got a lot of time left in the season, but everything's going pretty well. Feeling pretty good, getting some good training in. I ran earlier today. Today was an easy day, just because I already got done most of my mileage and workouts for the week, so not too bad today. But yeah, everything's going pretty well.
Nice, that's good to hear. So to start this off, I have a little icebreaker for us. What is your favorite movie / TV show?
I think my favorite movie is probably a movie series. I really like the Maze Runner series. I don't know, every time I watch it, there's just something special about it that I really like. That and the Marvel movies, but that's more of a basic answer. Those are all good though. And then TV shows, I really like Suits. Suits is a great show. There are a lot of good TV shows, but yeah, movies, I like the Maze Runner.
Nice. I enjoyed what I saw from the first book for the Maze Runner, but I haven't seen the movie, so maybe I'll check that out.
Yeah, good movies.
All right. Now moving on to more running-related questions, I have an interesting question to ask you. So I was reading around letsrun.com the other day, and I heard someone mention that you decided to opt out of the Woodbridge Invitational race because you wanted to go to Disneyland on Saturday. Is that true?
No. We were most of our team at Woodbridge. It was our Rust Buster for the older guys. You know, I think 3 out of our top 5 at that race. It was our first race of the season, so really we were just trying to be in a calm race where we didn't have to do too much. Just getting a confidence boost, learn for like the younger guys on our team how to race in a race like that. Our team likes to do small school races because we're D5, and I mean that's how a lot of our races will go during the season. So we like to practice the smaller school races, and then it was a Rust Buster, so not doing too much. And then Disneyland was fun. We went to Disneyland the day after, and it was obviously a nice plus, but. No, the main reasoning behind us running small schools was just to keep it simple and not put too much stress on it for us.
Nice, and it looks like it worked. You guys had one of the best, if not the best, team time at Woodbridge with the invitational race included in the merge, so congrats on that. Hey guys, just as a quick disclaimer, I actually meant to say that he had one of the best California team times, not team times overall.
Thank you. Yeah, it was super fun for everyone. Our goal going in was to put 5 of us sub 15, but we didn't know if it was going to be possible. But everyone went out there and, give it their all, and it was a great day. And, like I said, it was our first races. We've got a lot to go. So if that's a start for our team, it's looking pretty good.
Nice. So now we were talking a little bit about the season and your training at this point right now, but I want to go back to what got you started with running. Do you think you could enlighten us there?
Yeah. I used to play a lot of different sports. I was a soccer player, a basketball player, played water polo, was doing baseball for a while, all sorts of things. But I was running the entire time. My mom is a club coach. She started a club for my sister, a youth one, that all of us kids in the family have gone through. So that is what got us into running was her and her club. But it was really never a priority for me until COVID hit. And when COVID hit, all of my other teams shut down and there really wasn't much to do. So I just started running with a few of my friends more and more, and got into it that 8th grade year for me, which is where I really started seeing improvements. And then my freshman year, I was still planning on playing basketball during the fall or the winter season, but I had such a good cross country season that freshman year, off of like the first time in my life that I'd been really training, and I just couldn't play basketball, knowing that I had a lot of potential in running. So yeah, I didn't do basketball that season. Just stuck to winter track and paid off.
Yeah, you can say that again. Anyways, so you mentioned that you come from a family of runners, and so this next question might be a little bit hard to answer, but let me try. So
Sure.
I was curious, who are your role model runners? And if there's a lot of them, who's one in particular you would like to discuss?
Um, I mean, I don't really have like a super defined role model in running, but I think the people that I look up to a lot, and I really like as runners, probably number one is Jakob. A lot of people don't like him, but I like his personality. I like how confident he is. I like he's entertaining and he's good for the sport. So I really like that. I think that, a lot of runners are expected to be pretty humble and just stay to themselves. But I like that Jakob is pushing the narrative that we can be confident and we can have some spice to us. And I think that that's cool. And then the same with Noah Lyles. I'm not a sprinter, so I don't really have as much to say about him. But at the same time, he's pretty similar character to Jakob in just the sense of he has confidence and he talks his talk, and I think that's something we need in the sport. So I like that.
Yeah, I definitely know where you're coming from. I'm much more experienced with distance running, but it was very fun to watch him yapping with the other sprinters this Summer Olympics. Going back to your family, you mentioned that you come from like I said, you mentioned you come from a big family of runners. What's it like coming from like a family running dynasty of some sorts? Can you tell me about some like your family's origin with with their history of running?
Yeah, I mean, I think it started really with my mom. Like I said, she ran for Harvard back when she was in college, so she was good. My dad ran in high school, but I think he had a ton of injuries and didn't really get to college, so he didn't run in college. But my mom did, and then my sister was the first one of us kids who wanted to start trying running. So that's when my mom formed the club, and it's been awesome. I think that it's been super helpful to have the whole family of running behind us, or behind me. And then I think the biggest plus with it is that my brother and I got to run together in high school, and train off of each other. And I think he's been a huge benefit in my life. I don't think I would be as good as I am without him. He was a role model for running. He helped push me in workouts. We're pretty different runners. He's more speed based. He has a lot more speed, where I have the distance and aerobic end of it. So we kind of bounced off of each other. And in those speed workouts, he would kill me. And then the distance workouts, sometimes I would kill him. So I think that we really pushed each other, and that was awesome. But yeah, also having our mom behind us who knows a lot about running and can help us and give us advice, and it's really helpful.
Yeah, that's a very underrated thing you noted about having a sibling to work off of. During my high school experience, I was actually on the same team with my brother for a lot of it, and me getting to work and train with him really helped out a lot. And he's kicking my butt now because he's still running in high school, but it was a fun time getting to train with him. And like you, just like you said with your brother, he also would kill me when it came to speed and training and those races, stuff like that. So you talked a lot about how your family, their history with running has helped shape the runner you've become. Speaking of shaping the athlete we've become, I'm just curious, what's the worst and best race you've had in your so far young career that has shaped the runner you've become right now?
Um, it's a good question. I think that best race, I mean, they're both pretty hard to answer. I think that something I pride in myself is that I can't really name a race where I ran like a horrible time or something like that and completely bombed out. I think I've been pretty consistent in racing, knock on wood. Hopefully that doesn't end. But I think that I've raced pretty well. I don't think I'd have any races where I like completely bombed. But I think that I've had a lot of good races. I think that my best race ever was probably Arcadia, last track season where I ran my 8:48. That was super fun. Felt good doing it, and it was super rewarding to cross that line, having broken 8:50. It was that or my Clovis race, last cross country season, where I broke 15 on that course. I think the big thing about that was it was not even close to what I was expecting. I was expecting to be a lot slower, so it was a huge surprise for me, and it was super rewarding to cross that line and feeling good, and just having a good race like that when I didn't expect it made it that much better. So both of those races were pretty fun. My worst race would probably be sophomore year. Sophomore year, I really struggled in the 32. I didn't see many big improvements. As a freshman, I ran 9:09, but as a sophomore, I could only improve that to 9:05, which was a little disappointing for me. But I think that my worst race of that year came at Arcadia again, where I ran 9:09, but I felt horrible, completely died off at the end, and I had super high expectations of myself to break 9 during that race and get pulled, and I just couldn't do it. So that was probably pretty disappointing for me. And I think I enjoy those races where I feel like I didn't perform to like what I believe in myself. Those races where I feel like I have more to prove and definitely have more to grow. I enjoy races like that because it keeps me hungry, keeps me in check, keeps me humble, makes me keep on working, and just reminds me that those bad races can come at any time, and I just have to put myself in the best position for every race to make sure that it doesn't happen. And yeah, I think that those races teach me a lot about myself, from racing strategy to my fitness and my strengths. So I really appreciate those races. And then the good races are good too because they give me confidence and definitely are big stepping stones for moving forward. But I think the bad races are more helpful for me.
Yes, that's true. We can't appreciate the good parts without having the bad parts to remember and learn from. So you've talked a lot about your past, but I want to talk a little bit about the future. So you have committed to run cross country and track at Wake Forest University. So I'm just curious, during the college recruitment process, what attracted you to Wake Forest compared to other schools regarding student life, athletics, academics, etc.?
I think it was really surprising for me. I wanted to stay in California for college. I was looking at places like UCLA. Stanford was probably my number one for a while. And I was pretty set on those. But then I went on a visit to Wake, because the coach and his program, obviously a great program, and I'd heard a lot of good things about the coaches, so I went out and gave it a shot, and I just loved everything about it, from the campus and the weather to the coaches and the team and the facilities. Everything was so great, and I realized that was what I was wanting in a college, and it really was one of those moments where just on that visit, I knew that was the place for me, and I committed a few days later, completely switched up everything and what I expected with my college. But it just really felt like the right place for me, and it felt like something clicked when I went on that visit. So definitely felt like it was the right decision.
Nice. It looks like you're going to have a killer team there. You have some big names such as the NXN champion Jojo Jordan, Rocky Hansen from the year before, your neighbor Grant Morgenfeld from down the street. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but last time I checked, one of your current teammates in high school has also committed there. Is that true? And how do you feel about that whole team dynamic you're going to have?
So my teammate did commit there, but I think he was working on his app and just realized it wasn't the place that he actually wanted to be, so he ended up decommitting from Wake. But I think that still with Jojo and Grant and Rocky and all guys, the team is big and everyone there has the right mentality and is working for the same thing. That was one of the things I loved about Wake, is just meeting those guys. I saw how committed they were, and that was a huge thing for me. But yeah, I'm really excited. I've been friends with Grant for a long time now. It's going to be super fun to run with him. And then to have guys like Rocky and all the senior like older guys on the team who can direct me and give me advice and help me out with my entire college experience and how to become the best runner that I can possibly be. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll help me a ton, and just help me progress to where I want to be in college. So I think that was a big thing about Wake for me.
Nice. Really excited to see how things go from there. So, going back to the present, I'm now that we're in the dead heat of cross country. I'm just curious. How did you do anything in particular in this for training for this season compared to last season? Because I remember you had an injury last season that unfortunately cut down what was a really good season so far. It cut it short. So I'm just curious, how did summer training go? Anything interesting or different you did in preparation for senior year?
Yeah, a lot of things are different about this season. I think that the last cross country season, I was dealing with a lot of stuff. The entire summer before it, I was out with a stress reaction in my back, that put me out for the entire summer, where I had to cross train the entire time and just work on whatever I could to maintain fitness without running. And I came back, and I came back super strong. Immediately loaded up my mileage, and it worked out for a little bit. Had some good races, but just kind of bombed out, and got injured again, and was out for 3 more months. So I had like 6 months of my last season, my junior season, across track and cross country. I was injured for and couldn't run. So a big thing for me for this season was just making sure that I can be healthy, and I can be strong, and I can peak at the right time and make it to the end of this season. Because I have big goals, and all those goals will come into play at the end of the season. So I think that my build up during the summer, I was actually running during the summer, which is the biggest change from last season. But I also built up really slowly. I was still incorporating cross training to keep myself fit, but I built up my mileage super slowly, to make sure that my body was adapted. And I just kept on working, kept on being patient, and then eventually got up to the point where I could run mileage with my body not risking as much injury. And then I think I have a great base that I'm going to be able to continue for the rest of the season. And I think that I'm feeling really confident about what I can do.
Nice. Those are some great takeaways from such a rough time in your training or lack thereof. So, from after that unfortunate period where you had a lot of issues regarding your health and injuries and whatnot, from college commitments to Arcadia, you had a great track season that cemented you as one of the top runners in not only California but in the country. And I assume there must have been a lot of highlights, but what would you consider to have been like the highlight or a highlight of that season?
Yeah, like I said, probably Arcadia was the highlight of the season. Broke 850 for the first time ever. I was really just hoping to break 9 last season, and to come out at APU, my second race, back from injury, and I broke 9 in that race by 7 seconds. I mean, it was super, super astonishing for me. I didn't think I was going to be able to do that. So that right there was a big highlight for me to, go from a bit unconfident in what I was going to be able to do with the injuries and how my season before that had gone, to, breaking that 9-minute barrier, and getting down below 850 as well. Huge confidence booster for me. And then I think another highlight was I was able to stay pretty injury free for the entire season. I was dealing with some shin splints, but that was about it. And I made it through the entire season. I was able to put together a good season where I went from the beginning and I ran 853 in one of my first races, and I made it all the way to the end and ran 850 at the state meet. So just to put together a long season like that, which I hadn't really done before, and been able to run fast at the beginning and the end of it, along with in the middle. It was super fun, and it was a great season. Definitely something that I'm proud of. So
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So I assume it's safe to say that at least for track, your favorite invitational was Arcadia, and just because of the amount of like high stuff you have to say about it. But I'm just curious, what would you say is your favorite invite or race regarding cross country, and for track if Arcadia is not your favorite? That's the question.
yeah, for track, Arcadia is definitely my favorite now. It wasn't in the past because I hadn't really raced well there in the past, but now Arcadia is definitely my favorite. I also love APU, Azusa Pacific, meet of champions. That one's super fun. It's always a fast track, fast races. So I love that one too. And then the California State meet obviously is a great atmosphere. But yeah, Arcadia is pretty pretty unmatchable as far as track goes. And I think that Woodbridge is probably my favorite for cross country. I've raced sweeps there. I've raced small school races there, and it's always been a great experience. Just running at night under the lights on such a fast course on the grass, and we've gone to Disneyland the next day every year, so it's always been a really, really fun experience for me. So I just love Woodbridge, and it's such a great race. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. From what I've never been to Woodbridge myself, but I love watching the vlogs and seeing other people's experiences, especially since a lot of my local school teams, they go there. But I'm just curious. I remember once seeing you race at Woodbridge on no context track. You looked, I don't know if lost is the right word because it was a while since I saw it, but could you please explain what happened there?
Yeah, that was last year. I did the small school races again last year, but I was out in front. Didn't really know the course too well, and there's a little cone section, and I just ran right past it and right off the course, and then realized and had to turn around and get back onto the course. So I was a bit lost, but I think I was just not really thinking. It was at the end of the race, so my mind wasn't completely on, and then there was no one around me to direct me where to go. So that's what happened there.
Yeah, that was pretty funny to watch. Anyways, I just want to take a quick break from talking about running, and I would like to ask you how life is outside of running regarding free times activities and whatnot and school.
Everything's pretty fun. I go to a pretty intense academic school, so I'm never not busy. Always working on homework and stuff like that. But I think senior year is going to be pretty fun. I'm not taking too intensive a course load. I'm more taking stuff that I find interesting, which is going to be fun for this year. And then I think I'm really looking forward to the entire year. And everything's gone pretty well so far. In terms of free time, I've had a lot more of it, I think, this year. I've been golfing with my friends. I picked up golfing over the summer, and I've been doing some of that. So that's been super fun. And then I think that I haven't really played video games as much recently, but me and my friends over the summer are playing a lot of video games, and that's how we don't really go out much. So that's our way of going out with each other, and all having a good time together. So that's pretty much what my free time consists of. But I think that most of my life is pretty much just running and school, and then lifting and stuff, which kind of falls into running. Not too interesting of a life, but I have a pretty good routine down.
I beg to differ. It sounds pretty interesting. It sounds like you got a lot on your plate. Anyways, moving back to the topic of running. While I'm not going to ask you for any time-related goals, do you have any process goals or any vague goals you have on how you want to improve in either your running, your training, and lifestyle this cross-country season, and looking forward to track season next spring? Let me rephrase that. Any vague objectives that you have, not just for college, but for the upcoming seasons regarding running?
Yeah, I think I have some big goals that I just kind of have in my mind, and those are the overall general goals, and that's to make NXN. Super big one for me. Never been, really want to go. So that's a big one for this cross season. But to get there, I want to have a good strong race at Clovis in a few weeks, and then just build on that. Again, stay healthy for the rest of the season. I think I've got a pretty good shot at it. So that's a big one for me. And then outside of that, in track season, I want to have, again, a strong track season, keep my base up so that I really want to be able to build my mileage and put together consistent volume training, because I think that's going to prepare me well for college. And it's going to help me during this upcoming track season. I'm going to be racing the 32 a lot, just like I did last season. But I hope to get down as close to 840 or sub 840 as I can, and then I want to finally break 410 in the 1600, which I haven't been able to do yet, but that's a big one for me. So
it sounds like the 32 is your favorite track event. Am I mistaken?
No, that is my favorite track event. I really like it. It's a nice middle ground between the mile and the 5K, and I think that last track season. I really found a sweet spot there, so definitely like the 32 a lot.
Nice. Yeah, that looks like something you have in common. That was definitely my favorite track event when I ran track in high school. So you mentioned one of your goals is to make NXN, and that's an opportunity for you to race some of the biggest names in high school running across the country. And it got me thinking. After running at the top of California athletics for a couple years now, who have become your biggest friendly rivals and most common competitors, both like who are still in high school and who have graduated?
I think that all the California guys are pretty close. We have a little like club team that we formed together, and we have a group chat that we have together, and we all have a good time. I think that a lot of big names from California are in that. I haven't really necessarily raced a lot of them a lot, just because SoCal and NorCal often go to so many different races. But I have raced some of them. I think that some of the guys that I'm pretty close with are like Evan Noonan, Anthony Fasthorse, Eli Fitch-Young, Carson Hedlund, Aiden Stephanopoulos, these CCS and SoCal guys. I mean, the list can keep on going. I think that California and the top guys in California have a pretty special bond that not a lot of other states have. So we're all pretty close to each other, and it's been pretty fun to see all of them at meets and see them all performing well. And yeah, a lot of them are in college now, but we're still keeping up with each other, so it's pretty fun.
Nice. Yeah, California is looking stronger than ever right now. Do you think any of your fellow Californians will take the crown and win this year's NXN/Foot Locker cross country championship? Anyone specific, or what do you think?
I mean, I think that NXN, it's been an upset for the last few years in a row. I think that on any given day, anyone can take it. I think that if there was someone that I was going to, make a prediction on, it would obviously be Evan Noonan. Super strong runner, huge kicks. So he's definitely got my vote for it. I think that Eli Fitch-Young is a pretty big sleeper. He's super strong in cross country and track, but I think he's more of a cross country guy, and he should run very fast this season. And then you have people like Aiden and people like Ian Turk too, who's been running really well this season. He's in D5 with me. I mean, there's so many guys in California that are super fast, and on any given day can have such a big breakout race, and I wouldn't be surprised to see one of them snag the NXN title.
Yeah, it looks like both on the boys and girls sides, it looks like California is going to have a lot of strong competitors to take the crown at Nike Cross Nationals this December. So you mentioned who you have your money behind on the high school side of things, but you have your family has had a lot of experience in the NCAA side of running. So I'm just curious, do you have a prediction for this year's season?
I think it's everything in the NCAA is changing a lot, especially with a lot of foreign runners coming in from Kenya and places like that. So this season is a really hard one to call. But I'm always going to back Wake Forest. They have such a strong team this year. I definitely wouldn't be surprised to see them in the top 10, if not top 5, this year. I think that BYU is going to have an incredibly good team. I think that NAU is always strong. OSU is going to be also awesome this year. They have such a strong top 5 and top 7. So I wouldn't be surprised between BYU, NAU, and OSU. I definitely wouldn't be surprised to see one of those teams take it. That's probably the 3 that I'd expect to win this year.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, it sounds like you really know your NCAA. So for the last couple of questions I have for this interview, I'm just curious. This is more just like a which one do you prefer type of question. Would you consider a person who more prefers track or cross country?
I think it changes season for season for me. I've definitely seen myself as a cross guy and then seen myself as a track guy. I love them both. I really love them both. But I think that track in terms of like here at meets and stuff like that definitely has a bit of an edge on it. People can just sit in stands and watch every race, and it's a lot easier to watch races like that. So the atmosphere at track meets is pretty unmatchable. But I think that the cross races how awesome some of these races can be, like Woodbridge, and I love the state course, and just courses like that really make you enjoy cross country. So they're two very different feels, but I really couldn't tell you which one of them I like more.
Yeah. Before this summer, I probably would have disagreed with you on your statement about like the vibes of a track meet versus cross country. But after this year's Olympics, with like what was probably the most hyped, track season ever, the amount of discussion I saw regarding running because of this year's track events at the Olympics was unmatched. So I definitely agree with you now. What Olympic events were your favorites to watch this summer, and who were your favorite athletes that you watched and rooted for?
I think that obviously the number one for me is pretty obviously the 1500. It was such an incredible race and a huge upset. It was pretty insane to watch. That one really doesn't need much explanation. I really liked also the 5K to see Jakob come back and win that. It looked with such ease for him. It was pretty fun. Those were probably my two favorites. And then I didn't actually get to watch the men's 400 live, but Quincy Hall and that absurd comeback, which is super cool. And then Sydney McLaughlin is always pretty insane to watch. Just breaking her own world record over and over again. And then that along with Mondo in the pole vault. I remember a few years ago at the World Championships, we got to watch Mondo break the world record, and that was something that I haven't forgotten. So seeing him do it again at the Olympics was pretty fun too.
Yeah, I bet. It was this, like I said before, this Olympic season was like no other, at least in my experience. So, as we're wrapping this up, I want to focus more on like the key takeaways you would have for people listening. And so these last questions are going to be more like those key takeaway type of questions. So next on my question list is, what's the biggest setback or lesson you've had regarding running, and what have you learned from it and you want to share?
Yeah, I think my biggest setbacks are always injuries. I've gotten injured a lot. But I think that with that, I've been able to learn a lot more about my body, how to stay healthy and prevent these injuries from happening, along with how when an injury eventually and inevitably does happen, I feel like I'm pretty well suited to deal with it. So yeah, those have all been the biggest setbacks for me. Just sometimes I feel like I'm just getting back into it and I'm feeling good again, and then another injury pops up, and it's a little demoralizing. But I think that just staying hopeful, staying strong, and just cross training and staying hungry the entire time will really get you far. So I think that injuries have been my biggest setback and probably one of my biggest helpers for high school so far.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. What would be the biggest, and there's some overlap with this question with the last one I asked, so, let me know if that's the case, but what is the biggest lesson / piece of advice that you would like to share with any runner hearing or seeing this?
I think the biggest thing about running is just being consistent across like every aspect of life. I think that, getting sleep, good nutrition, which I'm not the best at, but I'm working on, getting sleep, good nutrition, hydration, just all these little things all come together to form a good runner. And then along with that, just being patient and understanding that the sport is such a long process, and it's not going to all happen in a season or all happen in a race. And it's going to take years to get to where you want to be. And that's something super special about this sport, but it's also a little frustrating and annoying at times. But, just staying consistent, staying patient, and, staying optimistic will really help you.
Nice. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And so the final question I'd like to ask is, it's not necessarily related to running and athletics, but I added this question to my list just as a way to make this podcast seem more whole. So my final question is if you could learn any new skill immediately, what would it be?
Let's see. If I could get super talented at something, it would be soccer. I love watching soccer. And I used to play soccer and loved it a ton. So if I could be talented at something else, it would definitely be soccer. Yeah, that would be super fun. But if I could just get like one singular little thing that I'm good at, I think I'd like to be able to play the piano. I can play a little bit. I've taken some classes. I took a class my freshman year for the entire year, and I learned how to play then. So I'm not bad at piano, but I think that just seeing people who can play all these ridiculous songs has always been something that I wish I could do. So that would be my skill.
Well, it's great. It's great to hear that. I'm also a huge fan of soccer and music myself. I have terrible hand-eye coordination, so I've never been good at soccer or most like non-running sports for that matter. But I do love watching like my San Jose Earthquakes try their best despite all their issues. And I play the guitar, or at least I try to. So I love music, and I can see why you would want to learn an instrument like that, like the piano. Anyways, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.